Monday, December 13th, Maplewood City Council meeting. This is our last City Council meeting of 2021. I want to take this opportunity to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy Kwanzaa. If you happen to have already celebrated Happy Hanukkah, I hope it was a happy one. Winter solstice is coming up. Whatever holiday you celebrate, I hope it is or was merry and bright this season. Our community is, I think, really in the holiday spirit. I saw the Ashland production of Elf at the Maplewood Community Center last week. It was an excellent production, great for the holiday season. Interesting note, former council member Brian Smith played Elf's father, Walter Hobbs, and Brian's son, Zach, also played in Elf. He played many parts in the chorus. I also saw Health Inspector Molly Welland's son. He played Charlie, the elf. It was a fun production, a great event, and a great way to kind of kick off the holiday. Coming up, we have some other holiday events, and I'm going to defer to Fire Chief Mondor and Public Safety Director Beardeman, because we've got some exciting things happening with our Public Safety Department. Are both of you on the line?
This is Chief Beardeman. I am, and I believe Mondor is too. I'll just start. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the 2021 Public Safety Angel Tree. And then Chief Mondor is going to talk about the Santa Parade that's upcoming and give you some details on that. So as far as the Angel Tree, we've done this on a smaller scale for the last couple of years. This year, we really stepped it up and tried to reach out to more people in need. So what the Angel Tree is it's individual donations in the form of gifts to kids who may be experiencing homelessness, they may live in shelters, or whose families just don't have enough money to get them Christmas gifts for the holidays. So that's the kids side of it. And then also this year we expanded to elderly individuals living in senior living facilities that may not have a family anymore that can provide them with some Christmas gifts. So I think the numbers will make you guys really proud of what public safety's done. And it's really amazing when I read these numbers, even looking at them now. So we had 7 local schools participating, and they were able to identify 129 kids ranging from ages 2 to 19. And the reason there's such a wide range is that we really felt that if there's one child in the household, a school-age kid that we were helping, we didn't want to give them a present and not their siblings. So it also included siblings as long as you had a kid in one of those participating schools. And then we have 3 senior living facilities that participated for a total of 38 seniors. And so we had a grand total of 167 Angel Tree gifts that were going to be sent out. Just to clarify the numbers, public safety staff, so police and fire, sponsored 93 Angel Trees. The City of Maplewood employees, to include mayors and city council members, donated 41. The public and volunteers donated 19. The urgency room, located in Vadnais Heights and Woodbury, donated 10. And then we had a remaining 13 that had not yet gone filled as of this week. And so you guys approved the donation from Cavalry Church at the last council meeting. So we were able to use 6 of those gift cards to really fill out those final 13. So we were able to fill all 167 Angel Trees. I can tell you guys from what our PD looked like today that it looks like Santa's North Pole workshop. We've got wrapping paper and presents thrown out everywhere. We've got organizers and we've got volunteers and officers wrapping gifts over the next 2 days. And the plan is to deliver those by next Tuesday. So some of the gifts will go out this Thursday, some will go out Friday, and then they will all be out by next Tuesday. And I just want to let you guys know that staff spent a lot of their personal money, a lot of their time, a lot of planning, a lot of effort really went into this. But from everybody that's been involved, it's been extremely rewarding, and we look to even increase this next year and make it even better than it was this year.
Thank you, Public Safety Director Beardeman. That is really exciting. 167 Angel Tree gifts. I mean, that's just wonderful. Really encouraging the holiday spirit. Fire Chief Mondor, you've got Santa Parade to talk about.
Thank you, Mayor Abrams and members of the council. This year will be the second year that the Public Safety Department will be completing the Santa Parade. The Santa Parade was created partially in response to COVID, and we had to rethink how we were safely engaging the community. And last year we decided to try it as we were able to do that in a socially distanced manner through driving public safety and city vehicles through the community with Santa and Mrs. Claus being transported by public safety staff. This year will be the second. We're going to continue with that tradition. The route includes 23 areas of interest where Santa, Mrs. Claus, and the Grinch will drive by accompanied by public safety vehicles. The route also includes 5 stops where staff and Santa, Mrs. Claus, and the Grinch will stop to distribute some goodie bags and provide a chance to meet the community members. Our public safety staff and communication staff will be providing Santa location updates on the public safety Facebook page, so we can try to keep people updated as we go through the route. And that route has been posted to the public safety's social media page as well. And so we're excited to continue this tradition and look forward to continuing to connect with our community during this holiday season.
Thanks, Chief Mondor. Boy, does that ever sound fun. I want to thank our Public Safety Department for spreading holiday cheer. And there was a point of correction that it's not just one gift that went to these 167 participants in the Angel Tree program. They received multiple gifts. And so the generosity of our city is just so heartwarming. And thank you to the Public Safety Department for spearheading these wonderful events in our community. So thank you for that. And council members, I want to throw this out to you. Do you have any holiday celebrations that you are aware of that are going on in our community that you would like to share? Any council member?
Yes, Mayor Abrams, this is Council Member Nikki. I was just gonna say that, one thing that I really like to do in the holidays, I've done it since I was a kid, is caroling. And so I know Hy-Vee is doing caroling on Tuesday in the afternoon. And so I'll be joining in on that.
Oh, that sounds like fun. Do you know what time it is?
I don't remember right off the top of my head, but I think it's 3 to 7.
And it'll be happening at the Hy-Vee store?
Yes, in Maplewood.
Okay, wonderful. Anyone else have anything that they'd like to share that'll help everybody get into the holiday spirit?
I feel like a Grinch, but I don't have anything.
Well, I'm sure that you're spearheading holiday cheer in your own home. So
we are, yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, then let us move to the Pledge of Allegiance and get started with our council meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. City Clerk Sint, would you do our roll call for us, please?
Yes, Councilmember Cave.
Here.
Councilmember Juniman.
Here.
Councilmember Knutson.
Here.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Here.
Mayor Abrams.
I'm here as well. Thank you for that. Council members, we need to approve our agenda. Would someone like to make a motion?
I move approval of the agenda.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Cave, the motion to approve the agenda. Is there any further discussion?
Mayor,
Councilmember Juniman.
thank you. I have a one council presentation, and as long as we're recognizing staff who have done some good things lately or are doing in their new season, I have a little addition for certain staff people.
Okay. We'll look forward to hearing that. Anyone else? Okay, then let's take a roll call vote. Tonight's order will be Councilmember Knutson, followed by Cave, Villavicencio, and Juniman. Councilmember Knutson,
Aye.
Councilmember Cave,
Aye.
Councilmember Villavicencio,
Aye.
and Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. It's unanimous. The agenda is approved. Moving on to approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I move approval.
Moved
Second.
by Juniman. Is there a second?
Yes. Second.
Okay. Moved by Juniman, seconded by Villavicencio. The motion to approve the minutes. Is there any further discussion? And I have something, a correction actually, that we need to make on the minutes. They're correct at the top, the November 22nd minutes. They're correct at the top where it indicates that it was held remotely via conference call. But when you see the call to order, it says that the meeting of the council was held in the city council chambers.
Oh, yeah.
And none of us were there. So we need to just update that.
Good catch.
Any other corrections or changes? Okay,
Just goes-
then,
It just shows you that your eyes see what your mind thinks it's going to see.
Mhm.
very true, very true. And maybe it's a little wishful thinking too. I wish we were all back in
Oh,
the
well.
city council chambers. We'll get there. Okay, then we've got a motion and a second. Let's go to a vote. Councilmember Knutson,
Aye.
Councilmember Cave,
Aye.
Councilmember Villavicencio,
Aye.
and Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The minutes are approved. Appointments and presentations. Council calendar update. City Manager Coleman, this is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Abrams, members of the City Council. The council calendar is, we're just looking ahead at future meetings. On January 10th, we're going to have probably about a half-hour demonstration. Public Works Director Steve Love will give you a demonstration of our new Fix-It application that's on our webpage. It's an opportunity for residents or businesses in the community to alert us to any concerns that they have about a pothole or a street light out or a sign down, anything that would need our attention. And that has been, it started a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe. And we're going to show you how that works. So that will be really fun. I think that the community will appreciate the ability to communicate through this really easy application on our website. In addition to that, at the council meeting will be the time where the mayor makes the appointments to all of our boards and commissions. And so she will probably be talking to all of you between now and January 10th to get that squared away. And then just looking a little bit further at our January 17th council workshop, I'd like to do strengths training follow-up. If you remember from our retreat a couple months ago, we did a strengths exercise which talks about how we get the best of us and the best of us as a team. Lois has assembled all those answers that we all filled out, and just to maybe have like an hour follow-up session on that, just to kind of close the loop on that work. So with that, we are also continuing to work on the parking space requirements, the ordinance, and at the last meeting, you approved a contract with our consultants, Poisonton Kogler, to continue that work on the parking ordinance. That'll be a part of that package. And then Audra Robbins is working to try to look for grant funds for the goat and buckthorn removal for next year. So that's gonna be fun. I hope that turns out well. And so, Mayor, that's all I have, unless you have questions or I have some issues that you'd like staff to look into on your behalf.
Okay, let's go through the council and find out if there is any other comments or additions. Councilmember Knutson, anything to
Nope.
add or ask questions
Nothing
about?
to add, thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Cave,
Nothing to add. Thanks.
Councilmember Villavicencio,
Nothing to add. Thank you.
Councilmember Juniman.
Question, City Manager Coleman said January 17th. Does she mean January 24th?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
I don't want to, thank you.
I
thought we were
appreciate that.
Meeting for
What
2 weeks
year,
in a
huh?
row. It's like, okay, thank you.
Glad you caught that. Thank you very much. Okay, council presentations then. Councilmember Juniman, you had something you'd like to add.
Yes, as long as we're talking about our wonderful staff, and are they? Let me say, I have friends who live in other cities who are quite jealous of how well things go here. And I'd like to thank our new code enforcement officer, Paul Tinas. And before him, we had Molly Wellens and Sam Drury, the licensing person, trying to fill in and doing the most urgent ones. But since Paul Tinas took over, there have been two lingering, painful things in our neighborhood. And I left voicemails and he just got on them, and both of them are in flux right now. They're going to be solved. And I was like, holy smoke. Wow, that is really fast. So thanks to them. And also to our health officer, Molly Wellens. I think most of you know who she is, and she's got plenty to do on her job anyway, but she's been working with the homeless community in Maplewood, ever since the pandemic, but particularly since last summer up till now. And she's still working on things, trying to get appropriate help from the county. And I just wanted you to know that she's working on this continuously. She actually has a route where she goes out and checks on these people. So we have very caring staff who take care of our community. So I just wanted to thank them.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Juniman, for that. Okay, moving on our agenda, the consent agenda. Items G1 through 12. Council members, is there a motion?
I'll motion approval of consent agendas, items G1 through G12.
Second.
Moved by Cave, seconded by Knutson. Consent agenda items G1 through 12. Is there any further discussion?
Yes.
Councilmember Juniman.
I would like to ask a question about number 3 and highlight number 9. Please.
You bet. Okay, question number 3 is, I believe this is going to be City Clerk Sint, your agenda item.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. So tonight we have an ownership change, actually, for an existing establishment on 2728 Stillwater Road. It was recently Maplewood Liquor and Tobacco, and it is going to be changing the name to Maplewood Liquor and Tobacco Outlet, LLC, and they're asking for an off-sale intoxicating liquor license. And so your approval is being requested, and upon that approval, we'll send it to the state to get their approval. The new owner is looking to take over January 1st, and background investigation has been conducted on Pua Vang, and she is the owner and manager. Nothing was identified that would prohibit the issuance of the license, and Lieutenant Steiner has met with her and emphasized the expectations of liquor sales, and especially eliminating underage sales. And so we're looking for council approval tonight, and she is available on, I did see her phone number, so she is available if anybody would like her to speak to the council.
Councilmember Juniman.
Thank you, Mayor. Andrea, is this the former Sirax?
No, this is actually, before it was Maplewood Tobacco and Liquor, it was Princess Tobacco,
yes.
Princess Liquor by Nolan's.
Okay, thank you. I got it. So this person is taking over from those owners.
Yes.
Okay. Does she have previous experience in peddling liquor?
Well, I cannot answer that question. I guess I would say it would be best if she is available. Like I said, I can see her number for her to address that question herself.
Okay,
Ms. Vang, if you're on our Zoom call, could you please, Mr. Folds, I think you're probably going to have to unmute her.
Correct, Mayor and Council. So the caller now has the ability to unmute their phone if they just press *6. There we go.
Okay,
Hi,
wonderful.
yes.
Ms. Vang, welcome to the Maplewood City Council meeting. Did you hear the question from Councilmember Juniman?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And
Go
the
ahead.
answer is no, I don't have previous liquor experiences.
So are you going to do any kind of formal training with like the Minnesota Beverage Association or anyone of that nature to find out what you're getting into?
Yes. Well, I was told that there are, like different education and training out there that I'm able to take, and, like I was talking to the current owner, I'm hoping that with, like his help and also getting additional help or training out there would enable me to better, run the business.
That's a very important piece because that you should be trained, of course, as the manager and the person who has the license, your name will be on it. But anyone who you hire to help as well, everyone should be thoroughly trained because we really don't want you to sell to minors.
Sure. Yep. Thank you for those information. I will definitely look into that. Yep. And that is something that I am, like considered doing to, get myself better at what I'm doing.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Any other questions about this application, Councilmember Juniman?
No, thanks. I just hope that she does what she said she was going to do.
Okay, thank you.
We don't want to find out the hard way that she didn't.
Okay. And now moving on to G9. Chief Mondor, this is yours. This is...
And we always highlight these because we appreciate the fact that people donate to our causes in the city.
Thank you, Mayor Abrams, Councilmember Juniman, and members of the council. The Public Safety Department's mental health outreach team works frequently with Miss Wellens in the unsheltered outreach, and Steve Lucan, who's part-time working on some unsheltered outreach as well. And Jody Hallweg is a key member of that team, and she belongs to the Faith Lutheran Church in Forest Lake. Her church provides several services to unsheltered communities in the metro area, and given that their passions aligned related to serving those in the community, they had a turkey bingo event where the proceeds go to various community outreach projects, and they were kind enough to donate $700 to the public safety team's mental health outreach, specifically targeted towards supporting those that are unsheltered in the city of Maplewood. And just would like to applaud the mental health outreach team and firefighter Hallweg for advocating for the team and those in our community to help us continue to try to meet their needs.
Yes, thank you. That's wonderful.
That is great news.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, that we've had a motion and a second. I think we've got our questions answered and our highlight completed. Then let's go to a vote. Councilmember Knutson.
Aye.
Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
Okay, and I vote aye as well. The motion passes. Tonight we have our Truth in Taxation, which includes a public hearing. And I thought what I would do is just briefly outline what's going to happen for anyone who would like to speak at our public hearing. I know it's a little artificial with Zoom, but this is going to be the order that we'll follow tonight. We will have a presentation by Ellen Pulseth, our finance director. When she is completed with her presentation, then the council will have an opportunity to ask any questions of her. At the conclusion of that part of it, I will open up our public hearing, our Truth in Taxation hearing, and with the assistance of Mr. Folds, we will go through all of those who are on the line, excuse me, who may wish to make a comment during our public hearing. And then just at that point, when we've listened to everyone for the public hearing, I will close the public hearing. And at that point, if there were any questions raised during the public hearing, staff will have an opportunity to respond to those questions. And then it will go to the council to actually discuss the proposed, the taxation, Truth in Taxation parts that are in our package tonight. So with that, Ms. Pulseth, I'm going to turn it over to you for your presentation on our levy tonight.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, and thank you, Mayor Abrams, for outlining the process. You saved me a number of words. I'm going to share my screen and see if we can get the slideshow going. Can everyone see it?
Yes, we can.
Great. Okay. A year ago today, we gave our very first ever Truth and Taxation hearing via Zoom, and I don't think any of us thought that we were going to be back here a year later doing it, but here we are, and we do what we have to do. And it's been a very busy year. It's been an interesting year, and it's sort of set up the story for this year's budget and levy process. What happened last year. So we're going to start and talk about, just give an overview of what we're going to hope to, if we have any folks at home listening, we hope to answer a couple of really key questions, plus give some more information. Most people are interested in how much are they going to pay and what are they going to get for what they're paying. So we're going to just try to touch a little bit on those high points, as it's impossible to cover all 350 to 400 pages of the budget. Keep in mind, anyone who is listening, that everything that happens in the context of the city's budget uses the city's strategic priorities as a foundation. The city's budget story this year, what are you getting for what you're paying? It's really more about rebuilding. This is more of a rebuilding year. As you recall, last year we were in the middle of a pandemic. We had additional debt because we had an extra road project, not knowing that there was going to be a pandemic. So we had an additional roughly $250,000 in debt, and we had a 0% levy increase. So we had a lot of cuts that had to take place to keep things stable last year. And so this is the year that we're rebuilding some of that, rebuilding some of those recreational opportunities, and continuing to do some of the services that have been added over the last few years, as well as building in cost of living and inflationary increases for salaries and other contracts that were at a zero for last year. 5% levy increase is what the council is considering tonight. This follows a 0% from the year before for 2021. It's $1.1 million that will raise. As you can see, 861,000 of that will go to the general fund, which is the city's main operating fund. Debt increase again this year because of the fire station. We did talk about this. It just happens that the 2 years in which we were going to see an increase in debt before we saw some debt falling off, and we'll see that level out over the next couple of years. It just happened that it happened in the 2 years that we had a global pandemic. So we did accommodate that, and this budget takes that into consideration tonight. What is the impact of that 5%? We'll talk about what we usually talk about is the median valued home in Maplewood, as established by Ramsey County. That market value for payable 2022 taxes is $268,300. That's a median value home. That residence taxes will increase by 7.3%. And when I say taxes, I mean city taxes. $76 for a city taxpayer in the median value home. The entire city budget is much larger than the general fund, but most of the city's budget does not require property tax as a revenue source. So just to keep in mind that what you are adopting is total budget tonight, which is about $72 million. Slightly more than last year. mostly just due to the ups and downs in capital projects. Most of this does not involve, as I said, a property tax levy. The property tax levy is primarily the general fund and the debt service funds. But overall, the city will be planning for about 72 million. The total tax bill is split up approximately this way for 2022. This is for a property taxpayer who lives in school district number 622 in the metro area watershed, about Battle Creek. The city gets about 32% of the property tax bill, county about 36, and the school about 24, and the special districts a little over 8. So this year, the special districts also include the housing district. So I'm going to drill into the special districts a little bit deeper this year so that you can see the impact of that.
Hey, Ellie, I apologize for the interruption. This is Michael. As we get into some of the numbers here, can you go up to display settings at the top there?
Sure.
And then click on that and then just say duplicate slideshow.
There you go.
There we go. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Sorry about that. Would anyone like me to go back over some slides? Should I go back a couple?
I think it's fine, Ellie.
Okay.
We can still see it. We just had two different,
Yep.
the present slide and the previous or the next slide. This is fine.
Yes, that was my fault. Thank you, Michael, for pointing that out. I wasn't aware that I hadn't switched the slideshow. So in talking about the other taxing districts, so here's what the total property tax levy increase looks like in Ramsey County. So this is the total property tax bill, not just the city bill. So the county across the board, no matter what school district you're living in, it's a 4% increase for the county and a 7.5% or 7.6 roughly. It just depends on where the rounding was on these numbers for the city. So depending on which school district you live in, that's where you're going to see the big swing. If you're in 623, they had about almost 28% decrease in taxes. So that's really the big difference depending on the school district that you're living in. And the other districts together is 28.9% increase, and that largely is because of the housing. I have another slide that will talk about that. I also want to point out, because I know some of you are really good with numbers, the other district also includes in this particular slide, because I got this information from Ramsey County. In this particular slide, it includes the county library. And county library is normally included as part of the county levy, but it's kept separate because St. Paul doesn't pay a library tax because they have their own library. But when we get to the next slide, I will explain why I'm pointing that out right now. So these are the special districts that are included in that other category. And these are the actual tax rates. So again, here we're not talking about what percentage of the tax bill, we're talking about the tax rate. I just want to clarify that. And then here is the 24.6% increase overall. And I'm pointing that out because the previous slide was 28, I believe, and that's because that library levy was in there, and this is just the special districts alone. So it's for those of you who follow the numbers really, really close. I'm not trying to play games with the numbers. There's a reason. But here is the new levy, the housing authority in red. So that tax rate is 1.827. And then that now then gets added in with the other special levies, the regional rail and the watershed and mosquito control and Met Council. So you're accustomed to seeing all of those others, but the housing authority is brand new, and you I think are well aware that one was coming. Very quickly, we'll go over some of these charts that the council has seen many times before. Average increase year over year for the tax levy for the city of Maplewood is about 3%. Then some ups and downs, some zeros and some fives. We try to keep it right around 3, but with the pandemic, things were in a little bit of a flux. So hopefully getting that back on track. Tax capacity has steadily increased a little more than what the levy has increased, 3.5%. And the tax capacity rate then has gone down, and that's because the city council has left some of that capacity on the table to give back to the taxpayers. There's a little bit of an increase in 2022, but we're going to see that level out again as that 5% was necessary this year to make up for the zero last year. And the good news is a fairly steady increase in the fiscal disparities, 5.5% on average year over year for the last 10 years. So that comes directly off, that $3.5 million comes directly off Maplewood's property tax bill and makes a huge difference for the taxpayers in our city. These are all of those factors put together so that you can just see them in a columnar format. Still very good progress on bringing the tax rate down. This is what all the other cities in Ramsey County are talking about at their truth and taxation hearings. As you can see, Maplewood and the red there is kind of right in the middle at 5%. A lot of the Ramsey County cities kind of in that range. There's some outliers, and St. Anthony had a very small decrease. This is a little bit about a 12, 13 year look. I keep adding on to this chart every year. I might have to lop some off the end one of these times. It'll get too big for the screen, but Maplewood over about 13 years, an average about 3.5% per year average of levy increase. The amount at the bottom is a weighted average, so that's going to be a slightly different type of math. So it's a little bit different than just the average of the percentages. But the weighted average, about 5% overall for the cities in Ramsey County. So Maplewood coming in lower than that. Now, council members, you have seen this chart before. We'll quickly go over it one more time. This compares spending with some peers of ours. And when we say peers, we're really talking pretty much about population peers, and nothing really else that went into that. Not, some of these may or may not necessarily be good examples, but of peers, but they kind of fall into a population range that we're looking at. Maplewood's a little, the very bottom, you'll see the percentages. Maplewood has a little more population than the average of this group. They have roughly average or slightly less taxable tax capacity, slightly higher total certified levy. But with 2019, that's the latest information that's available at this level from the state auditor. Our 2019 expenditures in the city of Maplewood are about 83.5% of the average of this group. And the capital outlay about 78%. That number can go up and down. We well know that the debt service is higher. It has gone down since 2019, but in 2019 we're still over 200% of the average. But still, even given that, the total expenditures 94.1% of the average of this group. So I think a pretty good job overall. And you can see that outstanding bonded debt and total debt per capita just slowly coming down year after year. As we look at these numbers, we're only at about 120% of outstanding debt. And I can tell you now that we're very, very much closer to 100 at this point. This is just the same information shown in a chart. You can see where Maplewood has the operating expenditures in the blue and the debt in the gray. And you can see that's what brings Maplewood's expenditures up a little, but still pretty modest overall in comparison. Utility fund rates. So I really wanted to spend just a couple of minutes on this chart. I won't have to spend too long because there's not much to talk about other than the sewer rate. What we had done here is we received a large increase, about 15.7%, right in between 15.5% and 16% from the Met Council. Not much we can do but pass that through to our residents, because the only other option is to spend down the fund balance in those funds, and that fund balance has been set aside for sewer projects and capital projects or work. So not a good idea to spend that down. So unfortunately, the sewer rates did have to raise. Many cities were in this boat this year and saw a large increase from the Met Council this year. So we're hoping for better news next year, but as a result, we kept everything else at a zero. We do have a 10-year plan that we plug these numbers into, and we're confident that we're going to be okay without raising any other utility rates this year. So that's approximately $11.44 a quarter for sewer charges. The average customer. We'll see. Tonight, you will also be adopting, along with the budget and the tax levy, you'll be adopting the CIP plan. We have gone over that a few times in the past, and the Planning Commission and the Park Board has also reviewed it, and the Planning Commission has, as required by law, has approved it. There's about $66 million over 5 years. And also amendments to the financial policies, which were pretty benign this year. I did have a red line, but it got kind of messy because there was such a huge update for the federal grants policy. Pretty much everything that was required, that has been required by the federal government, and we're just finally kind of catching up with those requirements. We try to work on at least 1 or 2 policies in depth every year, and then just some minor little tweaks to verbiages and things. But the debt policy, we've been lowering the debt limit ceiling $50 per capita every year. This year we did 25 just to make sure we had enough room for the fire station. But we're getting very close to the target or the goal on that. So we're hoping that we'll actually see that in the next year or two. So what the council will be considering tonight, after the mayor calls for the public hearing and takes input, is adopting the 5% levy increase, adopting the 2022 budget with a grand total of about 72 million, and the CIP, the 5-year CIP of 66 million, keeping in mind that all the projects in that CIP will come before you for individual approval. This is just an approval of the plan. It does not actually authorize the spending at this point. It just authorizes the plan. And finally, adopting the financial management policy. So with that, I would be happy to take questions. And Madam Mayor will call for the hearing when it's appropriate.
Thank you, Ms. Paulseth. City Council members, are there any questions for Ms. Paulseth? That was an excellent report, by the way. Thank you for that recap on where it feels like we've been talking about the budget for a very long time. Council members, let's go through our round robin and see if you have any questions for Ms. Paulseth. Councilmember Knudsen.
I do, thank you, Mayor. I'm just, as we look at the levy increase and the general fund, I'm just wondering about what factor inflation might play in it. I assume, once we fix this tonight, that we're just going to have to figure it out and tighten our belts as time goes on. Is that the way we see it?
To some degree, sorry. Yes, Madam Mayor and Council Member. To some degree, yes. We have anticipated a 3% cost of living inflationary raise for city employees. We don't know what that's going to be because those contracts haven't been negotiated yet.
Right.
There have been some similar increases proposed to us by some of our contractors, some of our contracted services. So some of those things we are aware of. One of the things that we typically try to budget pretty conservatively for, and meaning by that I mean budget kind of high, is fuel prices, because that tends to be pretty volatile. So yeah, we've kept those up simply because it seems like that's the direction they're going. But with most of the levy going towards salaries and contracted services, we think we have a pretty good idea. We don't have a lot of the levy going towards commodities. And
Sure.
certainly a small portion of it, maybe 4%, but so primarily salaries and contracted services, and we're fairly comfortable with what we're going into this levy with.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilmember Cave,
No, not right at this time. Thank you.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just want to say, Ms. Paulsa, thank you so much for this presentation. It's been a lot to learn about the truth in taxation, but I really appreciate your presentation. And I think when we look at the peer cities, I feel very confident where Maplewood is. So that's my only comment.
Thank you. Councilmember Juniman.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question about the HRA levy on the wheel chart on page 242. Does the HRA levy, easy for me to say, fall under the special districts part or under the county package?
Yeah, so sorry, Madam Mayor and Council. Yes, it falls under the other. And yeah, so that 28.9% increase is in part because of the 1.827%. That's not percent increase, but it's the rate. So that
Right.
was added. That rate was added this year. So that's a good portion of the increase.
And the reason I asked because I'm an elected official has to be concerned with this, but B, because I'm a resident of Ramsey County and already on the wheel. Of course, what's the largest part of my taxes? County. Fascinating. And then they can, again, go through with a special district. And I throw this out because every year people are not happy with their tax bills. And I have a history of not objecting to my taxes normally because I get bang for my buck. I'm starting to think that there's a level that would be the orange on your wheel, where that isn't necessarily true. So I just point that out because they are the highest amount, plus there's a piece of the special districts. It's the rail authority is theirs, and now the housing is theirs. And so I'm to the point where I think I would like to ask them some questions, and maybe we can have staff help us at some point about what's going on with those. I mean, it's nice to float down the river on your inner tube and just float by and say, well, okay, what does regional rail mean? I know a lot more now than I used to because of being on the council, but does your average person know it? They're paying for it through regional rail authority. And now the HRA levy, which they've decided to inflict upon us because they were in the dark compared to everybody else. I would like to see us report fairly often to our residents about just exactly what we're going to get out of it. Because it's pretty obvious if anyone happened to see the news this evening. There's a whole pile of money going into St. Paul. They're pooling their money to build affordable housing. And it's a large amount. And I, for one, think if we are doing our own affordable housing, which we have been, Lord knows, for many years and doing a good job, that some of that HRA money should come back to us to assist with that. Personally, I'm not interested in assisting Ramsey County helping St. Paul. I'm just not. If that's where the need is, then let St. Paul pay along with the county. I just think it's time for us to start questioning some of what they expect us to do. And we need to be asking on behalf of our residents, okay, what are our residents going to be able to realize from this? So it's just floating it out there and the rest of you can think about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Juniman. I think you raised some important questions. Ms. Paulseth, I'm going to ask you a question relative to what Councilmember Juniman just talked about. The county's portion of the property tax bill is 35.50%. What is the, under special districts, what is the similar percentage for the rail authority and for the HRA? Just so that we can add that together. And I'm going to let you add that together.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Abrams. So here is how that breaks down. I just want to go back again just to point out that in the special districts take up 8.23% of the total property tax bill for school district 622. And so, but these are actual property tax rates, but you'll get kind of a sense of what the ratio is. So I think your question is what do each of those add? So all of these together make up that 8.23% of the total property tax bill. All of these special districts together.
Right. In terms of the money that our Maplewood residents are paying to Ramsey County for the general property tax that they are charging, and for the rail authority, which is theirs, and for the HRA, that 35.5%, does that, how much more does that go up? So that we can really look at that in terms of what our residents are contributing to the county.
Correct. Yeah. So it looks like because regional rail and housing would both be county. It looks like let's see, 5 of that 11. So it probably, yeah, probably closer to 38 or 39.
Okay.
Because the special districts last year were about 6%. So I think a couple of percent was added because of the 6 point something. So a couple percent was added because of the housing, and then the regional rail was there. So I'd say between 38 and 40, probably.
38 to 40% of the taxes is going to Ramsey.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, for bringing that up. That's the whole point in bringing it up.
Right.
Is our residents need to know what we are paying the county, and they have the great power to do this to us, lucky us. In addition to determining whether it's going to be heavier tax on residential or heavier tax on commercial for the year, because they set those. Then we have this, and I only point it out because I think people think sometimes that, well, special districts, I wonder what that is. Well, don't wonder no more. I mean, sometimes we need to know, and sometimes we need to ask questions. And I just think we're getting to the point with county money that, or our money going to the county, I guess I should say, is that we need to be more in the game as to what our residents are realizing from this. That's my only reason bringing it up.
Thank you very much. City Manager Coleman, I'm going to call on you. Councilmember Juniman talked about, or at least suggested that perhaps we could get someone from the county or some type of a report to the council, because, our residents are paying, 38 to 40% of their taxes to the county. And I think certainly making it clear as to what is encompassed in that and what that looks like. How do we get that information from the county? Do you have some suggestions?
I'm going to have to think about that a little bit, because I don't have a lot of direct conversations with county staff, but others in the city do. And I think what I would start with county manager's assistant and see if I could just have a phone call with him to see how he would suggest we approach that request.
Okay, because I think that Councilmember Juniman raises a very critical issue, I think, because as tax rates go up and more, we're paying more in property taxes, we really need to know what is it that our residents are getting for that, because,
Can I just ask a question about, are you thinking more like how the budget is allocated to different departments and some of their major objectives in those departments? Is that what you're kind of thinking?
Councilmember Juniman, what were your thoughts?
This is part of the problem with this. It's really hard to define and put your arms around, and so people never do. And so this is how we get where we are. But that's I think a basic right there. And obviously the HRA coming up right now is the one that's really a focal point and what kind of pokes you in the eye when you see it. And, having sat through that workshop in July with the county person and what we said we would like to see and how things are not progressing, there's a surprise. With that, those kinds of things, we need to know how they're going to progress and why they're not progressing. And it probably has to get down into our departments that are actually supposed to be working with these people. But,
yep.
The whole idea of a whole thing of homelessness and the time that Molly and Steve have spent on that just in Maplewood. And I know what help we didn't get from them when we brought this up the first time during the pandemic. And it's like, I just think that all of our residents, as well as our staff, have a right to expect something in the areas where they are supposed to be taking care of it. And, it's all very nice to have a little slice in your pie chart that says special districts and see what you can cloak it in. But when you break it down, okay, what are we getting? And now we have a need in the HRA authority thing that they're doing now. We have a need. We've been covering our own need for years, but that doesn't mean that we want to take care of their need right now, thanks, with nothing coming back to our residents. It's kind of the same old thing. The Regional Rail Authority, that's kind of one of those nebulous, what the heck do they do anyway? I know they exist by, I think, a statute, but what are we getting for that? And I'm not saying we're not. I'm just saying people need to know what that type of thing stands for. So whatever one of our staff members would be interacting might be kind of a generous term for working with the county people, but whatever. Whenever our staff people are having to work with these different special districts or even the basics of our county taxes, what are our departments realizing from what we pay into theirs? It's just, I get the library thing. I'm not as dull as I seem. I get that one. And I get county taxes to a point, but I just feel lately more and more that stuff comes down from them, and here we are again, and we have needs that we are covering ourselves, and you think, well, wait a minute, county taxes are the highest piece of my taxes, and they have a department that's supposed to take care of that. Where are they? I think it's time for us to start lining it up, and from now on keeping track. That's all.
I appreciate the question and especially the interest in transparency with their budget and some of the things that they have prioritized. I do know that Mr. Thompson has been working with staff at Ramsey County and cities in the county to try to make sure we understand that our pro rata share of the HRA levy is given back to us in some sort of plan. And I think they are working on that because they've been getting pressure from the 4 larger cities in Ramsey County. And so I know Jeff has been working on that. And I think there have been discussions. There haven't been a whole lot of answers yet. But we are working on it from the HRA levy aspect and making sure they understand our priorities and some of the things that we want to do with single family housing.
And that's exactly my point. It's like, okay, if this is coming through on your tax statement and you see it, and then we're doing affordable housing, and they're going, well, how does that work? I just think we need to be able to point to, okay, of that, this is where we are getting county assistance with, whether it's staff to do something or whatever. People need to be able to know. And this just brought it up more graphically than previously. That's all.
I appreciate that. And I will work with Mr. Thompson and try to connect with the people at the county to get some sort of report back to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And, I think it might be a good idea if we maybe plan on having staff present this at a workshop in early 2022, so that we get some answers on this.
Yep, I agree. And I think Mr. Thompson and I, and there might be a few others that can contribute to this. And so we will get working on that. If we need more direction, I will speak to you again about that.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Juniman.
one of the reasons I bring this up is because way back in 2007 now, we joined the Ramsey County Dispatch because we're more or less forced into it. But the point of the matter is, without representation that says, what are we getting for this? We would have no idea what's going on. And now they're doing it again with HRA. HRA authority is not bad. That's not what I'm saying at all. But it just seems like they say, okay, well, this is our duty and we're tacking it on, and then whoop, it goes into the great abyss. And I think it's time for that to stop. Especially with this HRA levy thing. They came and presented it to us in July. Council asked, well, how do you go about applying and who's going to decide? We don't know. We don't know. It is now December. We don't know.
We still don't know.
Right.
Yeah. We still don't know. That is very frustrating.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving forward in our agenda, we are going to go to the public hearing. So what I will do is I am going to open up the public hearing. Mr. Folds, or maybe it's Ms. Paulseth. Can you flip back, thank you very much, to that screen? Mr. Folds, how many people do we have on the line for our public hearing?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have one caller.
Okay. Then do you want to open it up for them, please? And I will ask the caller to please state your name and your address, identifying yourself for the council and for our Zoom meeting.
Perfect. Caller with the last four digits of 8425. If you'd like to give comment, if you please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Hello, my name is Mike Wild.
Good evening, Mr. Wild.
And I didn't know that I was going to be invited to speak, but I thought I better take the opportunity. I'm a long 20-year resident of Maplewood. I served on the park and rec board for a while, and I happen to also live about 200 yards from the fire station. As coincidence has it, I'm also the director of a nonprofit that oversees public construction in the state of Minnesota. And it wasn't too long ago where I received many phone calls from interested construction professionals about the lack of prevailing wage on the fire station project. So I've been monitoring to see if that would be corrected. It looks like it is. While I sat through the city council, I went through a lot of the change orders.
Mr. Wild, Mr. Wild, can I just remind you that this is our truth in taxation hearing concerning the levy, the 5% levy increase that is before the council. This isn't a general open, this is really about the tax levy.
Understood.
Do you have any comments?
Not on the tax levy. I'm simply a citizen interested in the city council meeting tonight.
Okay, great. I know that we are bringing that topic forward in our agenda later on. But first we need to really hear do you have any comments that you'd like to make concerning the 5% levy increase that has been proposed?
No, I'm familiar with Maplewood government. I support what you do. And no, I have no comments.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Wild.
Thank you.
Mr. Folds, is there anyone else that would on the line who would like to speak during the public hearing or truth and taxation hearing?
Thank you, Mayor. No, there is not.
Okay. Hearing that there is no one else on the line, I hereby close the public hearing. And council members, we are now down to, we have two motions in our council packet found on page 133. Would a council member like to make a motion?
I move to approve the resolution certifying the public taxes payable in 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Knudsen, seconded by Cave. The motion to approve the resolution certifying property taxes payable in 2022. Is there any other discussion?
Mayor,
Councilmember Juniman.
do we need to put the monetary amount into the motion?
No.
It doesn't, the motion just is reported on page 133 and it doesn't.
I see that, but I know in the past we have put a monetary amount in, so I'm just asking if we need to. or not.
Okay. Ms. Paulseth, do you want to weigh in on that?
Sure, thank you for that question, Councilmember Abrams, or Mayor Abrams and Councilmember Juniman. So the resolution that certifies the property taxes is on page 136 of your city council packet, and it does have the amount of $24,369,853.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, there you go. Okay, I lost my place. We had a motion by Knudsen, seconded by Cave, I believe.
Yes.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, then let's vote. Councilmember Knudsen,
Aye.
Councilmember Cave,
Aye.
Councilmember Villavicencio,
Aye.
and Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. We have one more motion concerning our truth and taxation.
Motion to approve the resolution adopting the budget and financial policies for 2022 and the capital improvement plan for 2022 through 2026.
Second.
Moved by Knudsen, seconded by Juniman. The motion to approve the resolution adopting the budget and financial policies for 2022 and the capital improvement plan for 2022 to 2026. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then let's go to a vote. Councilmember Knudsen,
Aye.
Councilmember Cave,
Aye.
Councilmember Villavicencio,
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. The motion passes. Okay,
Does it
moving
strike
on.
anyone? Does it strike, excuse me, Mayor, sorry, but does it strike anyone else how strange this seems to be talking about 2022 to 2026? Boy.
Yes, a little bit strange, a little bit strange. Okay, we have no unfinished business. We have new business tonight. And I believe this is Chief Mondors.
Thank you, Mayor Abrams. Members of the council, what you have before you tonight is a motion to approve a change order authorizing the use of prevailing wage for the North Fire Station construction project. As you're aware, specifications and ads for bids were approved on the February 22nd council meeting, and construction contracts were awarded on the April 12th, 2021 city council meeting. In August of 2021, staff were made aware that the bid documents that were originally distributed did not include a prevailing wage requirement, which is required by Maplewood City Ordinance. Staff spent the subsequent months working with Kennedy and Graven and the project's construction manager, Kraus Anderson, to identify a remedy to ensure that the project is compliant with Maplewood City Ordinance. After consultation with both Kennedy and Graven and Kraus Anderson, it was determined that the best course of action would require a change order, thus adding the prevailing wage requirement to the project. The total change order proposes to increase the construction contract, the overall construction contract, by $430,539.88 to ensure that all contractors and subcontractors are paying prevailing wage to align with city ordinance. The changes requested are within the budgeted construction contingency costs, and the project remains on budget at this time. And so basically what we're trying to accomplish is to ensure that we align the project with city ordinance, to ensure that prevailing wage is paid on the project. And with that, I would answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief Mondor, for that, for your presentation on it. It's not often that we get involved in these major projects in our city, and I'm very glad that we are correcting this and moving forward. I don't think we're going to have very many more major projects. I think the last one before the fire station was probably Wakefield, at least in my memory being on the council. And before that, I'm not, I can't even think of what might have been before that. So we don't really have these kinds of projects that come up very frequently, but thank you for your presentation. Let's see if council members have any questions for you. Councilmember Knudsen.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Chief Mondor, looking at the project and its current status, how much left is on the contingency, and are you comfortable with that?
Chief Mondor.
Councilmember Knudsen and Mayor Abrams, members of the council, we still have $322,000 in contingency and just over $700,000 in the project budget that we were tracking to go under the project budget as of today. So I am comfortable with our contingency, and I'm comfortable with the overall project budget at this time.
Yeah, thank you. That's important information. And this is absolutely the right thing to do. So appreciate all your work. Thank you.
Councilmember Cave.
Yes, and I would agree with the mayor and Bill that, this project needs to go forward, and by correcting this is absolutely the right thing to do. And we're doing that. So full steam ahead. Good job.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
No comments.
Councilmember Juniman.
A question. I don't have any argument with this either whatsoever, but is our prevailing wage ordinance something that's considered current? And what really drives my question is, with all of the everywhere across the country, but in Minnesota in particular, and some cities, which I don't believe cities should do this, but nonetheless, there's the whole thing about what a minimum wage should be, and are we supposed to adopt that and stick our noses in it, et cetera. So the reason for my question is our prevailing wage ordinance up to date? And if so, that's fine. If not, it could be complicated to update it, it would seem to me, in light of all the other things that are going on about questioning wages. So this might be a can of worms, but I thought I'd ask anyway. But it's maybe a legal question rather than a Mike Mondor question.
Okay, is that a question for Mr. Beatty?
It could be.
Good evening, Council. This is Dave Anderson. I am pinch hitting for Ron
sure.
Beatty tonight. He's on vacation. And that's a good question, Council Member. And it is up to date. What the city ordinance does is it merely references the prevailing wage rates that are set by the legislature. Those are updated every year or not every year necessarily, but they're updated on an ongoing basis by the Department of Labor and Industry.
Okay.
And so it's one of those ordinances that sort of changes as the rates change. It doesn't have to be updated by the council, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you. That answers it. And then I have one more question. I don't know if it's for him.
Go ahead.
It might be for all of us. I don't know, but somewhere along the line in these conversations, and it came up, I think it was when the city of Minneapolis was talking about getting into the flow, which I don't want to do, but it brought up something that if you have this kind of an ordinance and it reflects mainly union workers, does it lock out small startup businesses that have construction forms of some kind within their purview and don't have the ability to pay those wages right away? Does that make sense?
I'm not really clear on your question.
Okay, the question is, particularly minority and women-run businesses, when they're startups, they sometimes are not unionized because they're starting out and they're just trying to get a full ledger of people to work. And they maybe cannot afford to pay that prevailing wage. So what I'm asking is, because it came up in Minneapolis, so I just happened to see that in the newspaper, does using a prevailing wage ordinance put us in a position where we're going to be locking out startup construction companies?
City Manager Coleman, do you want to weigh in on that?
That's a tough question. I think when Chief Mondor and I met with Carl Sanderson to talk about the prevailing wage situation and how we had to go and do a look back at these contracts, you know, that was one of the questions that we had is, you know, we were deliberately really trying to target minority owned businesses. Sure. And, you know, these are the ones that they got the contracts because they were paying lower wages.
Mm-hmm.
And we really, I have to be honest, Mike and I both missed that. And we asked Carl Sanderson how many cities that they were aware of that had such an ordinance. And they said maybe 4 or 5 at the most that they were aware of.
Really?
So I'm not sure that this is a tool that's used widely in our state of Minnesota. I know the state of Minnesota itself, when they're doing state projects, they do that. They pay for the wages. And you know, and I'm not here to say one is better than the other. I think they both serve a purpose. That was something that I really don't know, but the Department of Labor and Industry might have a better sense of that.
I guess I think if we're going to do any more city projects, we might want to talk to labor and industry about that piece. I think there's more and more of those businesses popping up. That's all.
Yeah, and you know, frankly, I thought when Mike first brought it to my attention, I thought, well, you know, the people working on a fire station, those are probably going to be good paying jobs, and for the most part, they weren't. But I think you made a really great connection there. That it's possible that this prevailing wage might be keeping some of the startups from getting a shot at it. But we're figuring that out. It's complicated, and like the mayor mentioned, we don't have a lot of projects on the horizon. The last one we did was the police expansion.
Right.
And then before that, I think it was the salt shed. And, you know, there's been some things over the years, but they're, you know, we don't do them very often.
Right.
But I do appreciate the conversation. And I do think it's something that we should look at as a city when we have another public project. I think that's really important to be aware of what our goals actually are.
And this just has to go with what's been going on around us. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you very much for that discussion. Let's see. I have no other questions. Council members, we have a motion before us. Would someone like to make that motion?
I move approval of the resolution directing modification of the existing construction contract, authorizing the use of prevailing wage, change order number 10, North Fire Station Construction Project, North Fire Station Construction Project, and authorize mayor and city manager to sign change order number 10.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Knudsen. The motion to approve the resolution directing modification of the existing construction contract, authorizing the use of prevailing wage as outlined in our council packet. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none.
Councilmember Knudsen. Looking through this in great detail, I'm a pretty good cement finisher. I'm just wondering if there's any additional work there. This is a pretty favorable rate, but
your wife might not like that, Bill.
Oh, well.
Why don't you go offering your services?
I can volunteer.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion, then let's go to a vote. Councilmember Knudsen.
Aye.
Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. The motion passes. Thank you, Chief Mondor, for bringing this to us. We have no award of bids tonight, and we have a little extra time And I thought what I would do is a round robin with my fellow council members. Anything you'd like to say to wrap up this year of 2021? Councilmember Knutson.
I'm thinking of, looking especially at that, at our budget and what we did last year. And to hold it to the kind of increases is really speaks to, all of our dedication to the economics of the members and residents of Maplewood. And we worked hard at it. We went through a tough year that they did too, not just us. It's that, we work on behalf of the citizens, and I think we worked hard last year. We've got a good budget, I think a valuable piece, and I just wanted to thank the staff and everybody else, and hopefully our citizens recognize the hard work we all did. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councilmember Cave.
Yes, I want to say that coming on this year has been very fun and interesting. Interesting in the fact that we started as Zoom and couldn't see each other until the summer, and now we're back into Zoom, but it feels like old hat now because I know what I'm doing. I think the staff that has been wonderful, and to see the staff turnover through retirements, and the new staff that's come on, the excitement, the police, all the police people we have just promoted and hired, and seeing all the faces of staff that are excited to be at work. The city hall, it's a great place. I miss going in because of that energy that they bring to the city. It's really infectious, and it's also with the citizens. We've had some wonderful citizens come for different commissions, and it's so great to see that never ends. Year after year, you have wonderful people who are willing to volunteer their time for the betterment of our community, and it's always for the betterment. And people are so excited about Maplewood, and you never have this, oh, I don't want to live here, or this place is, not very nice. You always have people that say, this place is great, let's make it better. And I think that's a wonderful place for me to live. And I really appreciate representing people in Maplewood because of that fact. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Cave. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Thank you, Mayor. This year has been really, we've had a lot of ups and downs in the city of Maplewood. And, I just want to first give a thanks to all the staff at Maplewood for just being kind and patient with me. And, I appreciate this new adventure. And I hope, like Cave's Councilmember Cave said, that, the city is like that. It is a city where everybody says, let's just make it better. And I just hope that everybody has a great holiday season, and that I can't wait to see everybody in the new year and see what is up ahead.
Thank you. Councilmember Juniman.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, what they said, it seems like it's in some ways it's been years since we've been together, literally years. And, we had that brief point where we saw each other and now we're doing this again. But on the other hand, these Zoom meetings have gone really well. And when you look back at what was accomplished under pandemic conditions in 20 and 21, it is amazing. And there's only one explanation for that, and that is that everybody feels themselves a team that wants everything to go well for the citizens of the city. So that means city council and staff and residents who have come forward to help. That's what that means. And that means you like where you live, you want to be part of what's going on where you live, and it makes people feel like, wow, good things really do go on here. And it's interesting to me that as many people get excited about different projects that are going to come before us and everything, people are paying attention. And it's just, I think it's really heartwarming that there's a sense of community here. And yes, we do some things wrong, doesn't everyone who's human. But people still want it to be good, and they like to bring up the good stuff. And, we had some excitement this past year. Hy-Vee came to town. What can we say? This whole piece about where it looks like the north end is already going to start falling into place. That's remarkable under the current circumstances. So I don't think we can thank our staff enough for all the up and down they've been through since March of 2020. Where are we working for them now? And who's in and who's out? And it's phenomenal to me that people can be this pliable, this flexible, and stay dedicated. And so I think they deserve all of our gratitude for that. Yes, they have a job to do, but to them, it's obviously more than a job, because they have gone through some pretty difficult times with us and made things as good for our residents as they can be. I just think that's phenomenal. So I thank everybody on the staff. And I do think what we heard tonight from the two public safety members about the things that are happening for the holidays, it's just wonderful. I mean, it's like people who work here want this to be a wonderful place. Well, what more could anybody who lives here want? So I think this is very upbeat, despite what's going on in the rest of the world. And yes, you have to be real about that, but this is real too. And this is our everyday real. So my absolutely unbridled thanks to all of the staff through all of this, and to the residents who have stepped forward, and council members, my fellow council members. Thank you for, we all seems to have maintained some kind of a sense of humor, and we still speak to each other civilly, and holy smoke, what more can we ask for? So I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday, whatever holiday they believe in, and that after the first of the year, maybe things will calm down enough for us to be in person. But if they don't, we'll just keep doing what we're doing because it's working. And Mayor, I would like to thank you particularly. You run a really good meeting when it's kind of bizarre. We aren't seeing each other, and sometimes you see a mugshot and sometimes you don't. I just think you keeping us on track and giving us a order to follow and everything's been really helpful. So thank you for that.
Well, you're very welcome. And in closing, I want to thank City Manager Coleman and her leadership team and all of the staff at Maplewood. This has now been 21 months. I just did the math. 21 months by the end of December that we have been operating in a global pandemic. And, I think Ms. Paulseth was talking about last year when we were in the middle of the pandemic, and I don't think that we were quite in the middle. We're still kind of stuck there for a little while longer. But I have to say that City Manager Coleman and your whole leadership team and all of the staff at Maplewood, you have been so nimble, and you have adapted and just pivoted and handled so many challenges as they've come up. And I have to say that it really is quite remarkable to see how high functioning our city is, and what a benefit that is to our residents and to our businesses. I want to thank my fellow council members too. This is not easy to be doing these meetings. It's artificial, and we kind of look like the Brady Bunch, on our iPad screens, but we get the business of the city done. And that really has been remarkable over this last year. To see the challenges that our residents have faced and our businesses have faced. And, we just keep trying to, I think you've all said this, to make it better. And we're all in this together. So it really has been remarkable serving as the mayor when we've had a pandemic for 21 months. Not certainly anything that anyone expected, but we're making the best of it. And I think it really shows in our city with the remarkable accomplishments that we've been able to achieve. And I look at, our public safety department, the two gentlemen on our Brady Bunch screen, who tonight, they're not only just thinking about protecting and serving the community. We're doing Santa parades and angel tree gift events to help 167 people in our community. You know, that really shows dedication, generous spirits, and just real compassion for our community. And it's absolutely wonderful. So in closing, let's just be kind and compassionate to one another. Let's forgive each other as we celebrate this holiday season. And folks, we welcome a new year, and I'm looking forward to more amazing things happening next year in our city, and really working with all of you. It is absolutely my honor to serve as mayor. So with that, everyone, happy holidays, Merry Christmas,
Merry
and
Christmas.
a happy new year. And
Yes,
we
everyone-
are
Thank you.
adjourned for 2021.
Everyone
Merry
have a nice
Christmas,
holiday.
everyone.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry
Thank you.
Christmas. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Ho, ho, ho.
Next year.